Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And India have beaten England by 68 runs in the semi-final to book their place in the final against South Africa. On the 11th of both sides, starting off with India, they went with an unchanged 11 from their previous two matches. And the latest video I'd posted, I'd said, according to me, I would have made two changes. Sanju Samson in for Shivam Dube and Mohammad Siraj in for Ravindra Jadeja. Now the reason why I'd said that is because you saw even in this match, two early wickets fell, and had Suryakumar Yadav been dismissed earlier on, it would have created huge pressure on the rest of the players to come, which is why I thought since Sanju Samson bats in the top four, he could be sent out at 4 in that situation. Suryakumar and Hardik Pandya to finish at the end. This would have made the side look a lot stronger because Dube hasn't been scoring runs and he hasn't been bowling. On Siraj being included, we saw Jadeja's contribution today, 17 off 9, yes, a contribution that got India to the 170 mark towards the back end, where he hit the 2 fours off Jofra Archer, and then none for 16 in his 3 overs when the game had already been finished by the time he had been brought on to bowl. So it's a good contribution, but is that a contribution that's going to win you a game? Where was he the reason why India got to this position to win the match? I'd say no. If Mohammad Siraj had been playing this match, as I'd said before, Bumrah could have bowled in the middle overs alongside Kuldeep or even Akshar Patel, and they wouldn't have had to bowl Hardik Pandya. They bowled him on very late in this match, and even then he went for 14 runs, which is why I said what I'd said, but they didn't make those calls. On England, based on what I've heard about this venue, playing in the day game, batting is much tougher than playing in the night game. And if you're looking at this England side, there's one player, there's one slot that I feel should have been opened up to bring another player in. And I'll be talking you through the 4 options and where they would have fitted in to this 11 if they wanted to bring them in. Now, the player I'm talking about is Sam Curran. Why they got him in the side, I'm not surprised he did play because, one, he's played in a lot of the games. 2, India have got the left arm spinners in the off spinners in Jadeja and Akshar, and if you wanted someone to counter them being the left-handed, they've given Sam Curran that role. You're comparing the role of Akshar Patel and Sam Curran in their particular sides. Akshar Patel can be promoted up the order to counter the spinners, but also as a bank with a bull, he does both the suits that he's got well. In terms of Sam Curran, with a ball, he doesn't bowl too quickly, and when he has been bowling, there's not been particular venom. When he's in batting, has he been in form? No, he hasn't been. So, what role has Sam Curran got in the side? I don't think he's got a concrete role. In terms of the 4 options who are sitting on the bench, on this kind of a surface, Mark Wood with his pace would have been a good option. If you had played him ahead of Curran, you wouldn't have had as much batting, where even with Sam Curran, Livingston towards the end, they've not been informed. So you've got the top 5, and even in the top 5, you've got players who haven't been informed. So the batting would have taken a hit had Mark Wood played ahead of Sam Curran. Ben Duckett hasn't been played thus far in this tournament. He can also play the role of taking on the spinners. Sam Curran, when you've got the other bowlers there today, he only bowled 2 overs. I knew they wouldn't play Ben Duckett, but if he wanted someone to take on the spinners, Duckett would have been a far better option than Sam Curran, given how little Sam Curran's bowling. Tom Marley would have given you an extra spinner, but when you've got Moeen Ali, Liam Livingston, Adil Rashid, did you need that 4th spinner? No, you don't. So the only option there, and the option that I feel should have played, was Bojack. So we've seen how he's bowled in the power play in the SA20, and with the bat we saw we did for RCB, we know how explosive he can be. As I've said before, this side has got a lot of batting resources, but how many of them have been bankable thus far, apart from Joss Butler and Harry Brook? Phil Sard, apart from one match, hasn't done much. Johnny Bairstow, after looking at the century in the IPL, everyone thought he was back to form. Then he's shown that he hasn't been back to form, and I'm not surprised based on what we saw. Moeen Ali, I'm happy they're batting him up the order, but he's not done much. Liam Livingston hasn't done much for a couple of years now. Sam Curran, since the T20 World Cup, not been the last T20 World Cup, hasn't been in form. And then you've got the bowlers who can bat a bit. So Bojack should have played. He wouldn't have had to do as much bowling, and he would have provided some more bankability with a bat. And a decision that was even worse was Josh Butler winning the toss and choosing to bowl first. We've seen him do it a few times before in competitions, and England have got a hammering, for example, against South Africa in the 2023 World Cup. And the moment that happened, given the conditions, given the strength of this Indian side, I had India favourites to win, more than favourites to win this match. I thought India would definitely win this match and would play South Africa in the final. And now in India's batting innings, unlike what I'd said in the match against Australia, where I'd said that 50-odd for 1 mark after the power play would have been a satisfactory score based on that venue, in this case I thought the 45 to 48 for 1 mark after 6 would have been a good score from a batting point of view. India got to 46 for 1. I'd have preferred if Rohit and Kohli were still both batting after the power play, because we haven't seen that long partnership between those two throughout this tournament, but unfortunately that wasn't the case in this match as well. But I thought India still got to a decent power play score of 46 for 2 after 46 for 2. And I'll be talking about the first 2 overs to start off with, because there's been some exaggerated talk on how the pitch behaved. And in my view, in the second over, when Jofra Archer was bowling to Rohit Sharma, the ball kept a bit low at times. But after the second over, there was none of that. And we've seen how the English media, the Australian media, whenever they have Australia or England have told India to play test series, this debate has been there. And I feel it's a very one-dimensional rhetoric that there can be no surface which is slower turning just because your respective sides can't play that. And I feel after the second over, as I'd said, there was no such case of the ball keeping low. And even if there was, then it would have been onto the batting side to adapt to those conditions, which I had full confidence in India to do. Virat Kohli hit a 6 off Reece Topley in the third over, and 2 balls later he was dismissed trying to swing at a straighter delivery. I feel bad for him in a sense, because before the IPL there was a debate as to strike rate. I feel it was the wrong debate, because even in my previous videos, what I had said was I predicted where he'd go well and where he wouldn't go well based on the requirements of the venues, not because of strike rate as a universal debate. Unfortunately, the latter was what people were going by. And with how he flourished when batting in this year's IPL, he's been looking to continue that in this tournament, where a lot of the time you've got to be watchful in the power play. And I took positives from the runner ball 24 against Afghanistan, and how he looked very good against Bangladesh before playing that hack to a straight ball, because he looked to bide his time first off and then unleash. Against Australia, and I've said this in that review video as well, that dismissal was not something that I'd criticize, because at that venue the 50-odd for 1 was something that you had to get, and he looked to go for the big shot. India had scored 6 runs in the first 9 balls, so I won't criticize that dismissal. In this case, it was disappointing to see him play that shot after getting a 6, and I didn't feel he needed to exert himself for India to get to that 45 to 48 for 1 phase. But I have no concerns over what he will do in the final as well. I feel India playing him every match. There's been some debate for some reason that he shouldn't be playing Jaiswal to be brought in. Virat Kohli is Virat Kohli, and I'm sure he will do well in the final. And Rishabh Pant for the second wicket for a tame dismissal, where we've seen he's been looking to go in a one-dimensional fashion throughout the tournament. Maybe that's been his role, but at times against Pakistan, he should have been out multiple times during his innings, and I don't understand why he had to go for the... Yes, they were trying to get runs in the power play, but there was no need to... You didn't have to exert yourself that much to get to that satisfactory power play score at this venue. And after the power play, if you still had Rishabh Pant there, then he could have done whatever he wanted to do. So I didn't think it was a great dismissal from him. But nonetheless, India getting to 46-2, I thought it was a decent score. And from then on, I thought the pacing of this innings was exactly as per the blueprint, where until the 15th over in some venues, it's a setting phase. I'd said this in New York, and in this case, that would be the case as well. 118 for 3 after 15, taking no risks, and I thought India played this brilliantly. Well, in that case, if you've got Hardik, Jadeja and Shivam Dubey, Akshar Patel to come, you're in a great position. And even after that point, India got 50, they scrapped to 171, getting 53 off the last 5 overs. Where at a venue like this, especially in the day game, wickets will fall towards the end, so you've got to save those wickets towards the end after setting a foundation. India did exactly that. So Rohit Sharma, once again, a fantastic knock. Apart from earlier on against Jofra Archer, where he's trying to hit over the infield on the offside and the ball plugged in the outfield, he didn't take risks in this innings, and this was a fantastic knock for him after the destructive one he played against Australia. And Turgumadev, apparently some people would say he only scores against the supposed smaller sides, and today he once again proved why that isn't the case. So him and Rohit stitching up a vital partnership. And I thought towards the end, Hardik Pandya 23 of 13, yes, but the 2 sixes that he hit to prop India scores at 146 before he was dismissed, it made sure that India could scrap to that 171 for 7. I thought him getting those runs at that point in time, it gave India a foundation for the last 2 overs that even if they didn't get many runs, they would get a score that they could defend on the surface. And I was surprised they sent out Jadeja ahead of Shun Due. But am I surprised Jadeja played well? No, I'm not, because even in the last match CSK played in April 2024, he walks out, he scores a 42 of 24, or 23 I think, against RCB. In these pressure situations, he does stand up. Aksar gets 10 of 6 in the end, and India gets a very good score on the surface. And on England, if you're looking at this bowling card, as I said, Sam Curran 1 for 25 and 2. Even that one wicket was a gifted wicket. Did he do anything in this match? No, he didn't. Jofra Archer, when England are 1 wicket away from exposing the tail, what do? You defensively bowl slow balls. Jadeja steers it away through the vacant gap in the leg side for 4. I don't understand that when you are the strike bowler. 1 for 33 in 4 on this surface. Have you been impactful? No, you haven't been. Adil Rashid's been bowling very well for the last couple of years. I'm not surprised he did this before. And Liam Livingstone has been doing nothing with the bat, but on this surface, still 1 for 24. Still, it's a good performance. So the spinners have got 1 for 49 and 8. They've done their job. Chris Jordan, he got 3 wickets, yes, but at the time he got them in and he'd given already the runs that he'd given by that point in time. So was this as much of an impact performance? No, it wasn't. So unfortunately, with England not playing the right bowling combination, even the strike bowlers, the bowlers of dumb ball, not having great days, this was going to be a steep chase, and I didn't think they'd do it. On the England batting innings, I won't criticize their approach because they had to get to that 50-odd for 1 mark after the power play, considering they had given a few more runs than the maximum they would have liked to give on the surface. And Josh Buttler, after the partnership got off to a good start, he was dismissed. And then the wicket that I thought sealed the chase was that of Phil Salt, where Bumrah bowled an almost Yorker length delivery and he tried to hit the ball down the ground for a boundary. And I'm going to mention this point again where I talked about the first 2 overs and how the surface was behaving. And a prime example of the exaggerated talk from those who feel it was misbehaving was the dismissal of Johnny Bairstow. We've seen him be dismissed like this before. I wasn't surprised that it happened again, where he exposes all 3 stumps on a surface that's supposedly keeping low. The ball is bowled quite full by Akshar Patel, and instead of going on the standing where your stumps are and going on the front foot like you should play that ball, he tries to go over the offside, not getting to the pitch of the ball, which is bowled very full, and he gets bowled. So in that case, there's then a debate to say, oh, the ball kept low, when it's one of the basics of physics, where if you fire the ball in short when you're throwing a ball, then it would bounce earlier and then it would bounce higher. If you're firing the ball fuller, there's more air time, and based on the trajectory, then it would bounce slow. And especially if you're bowling as full as Akshar Patel bowled that ball, and even in the test series between India and England, the ball, I think the first test, where it was almost a Yorker length delivery and Johnny Bairstow missed it, you can't expect the ball to bounce as much as you would expect it to, especially with the way he looked to play that. And you're looking at things like that and saying, how are people even able to continue this rhetoric of the surface not being great when you're playing such shots? So we've seen him do that before. I wasn't surprised it's happened, especially off this bowler, but this was the prime example of those who are trying to say the surface wasn't good, that they may not understand even the basics of physics. So that's on that. Now, if Wool Jacks had been played, would England have won the match? No, they wouldn't have done. But you're looking at Sam Curran's contribution here, 1 for 25 and 2 overs. From the SD20, Will Jack's economy rate bowling in the power play was 8.2. Just going by that, I'm sure he would have done better than 1 for 25 and 2 if he had bowled even a couple of overs in the power play. And secondly, so even if he had given 25 runs in 2 overs, can you bank on him to provide a destructive impact with a bat? Yes, then that means you can still go along with him conceding that many rather than 12.5 and over, and is he going to do much with the bat? No, he won't. So they should have played with Jacks. And people are saying Moeen Ali wasn't bowled. In the Caribbean, you only need 2 spinners bowling their quota, 8 overs of spin. You've got 1 for 49 from Livingston and Adil Rashid as a collective. So did Moeen Ali need to bowl? Would things have changed much if he did bowl? No, he wouldn't have done. So I'm saying Moeen Ali should be used often, yes. But in this match, was it a turning point, a huge factor that he didn't bowl? I wouldn't say so. So I think that, and I'm not surprised this happened given when this match was being played. People are saying, oh, the 10 a.m. game, India had an advantage, but there have been a few tweets to say that some other sides in previous tournaments, whether it be the 50 over World Cup or the T20 World Cup, mostly 50 over World Cup, have known where they'd play well in advance, and such examples won't be cited by people who are running the argument that supposedly India get things their way. In the 50 over World Cup in 2023, India had to travel between every venue, and a lot of the sides didn't have a case where they had to travel a lot, and despite that, India did as well as they did. So I would think that people who are advancing this rhetoric would just want some ammunition so that if India did lose this match, then they talk about how supposedly they have a fear of failure, when look at how many matches they have won in the last 2 ICC events, and they scored 400 almost 400 in the semi-final in the 2020 World Cup. So if they had a fear of failure, then I don't think that kind of thing would have happened. So that's on that. And on India, I'll put a preview video for the final, but I'd like to say Mohammad Siraj, in my view, should be played in the final, considering the venue. Barbados is a venue that's got some considerably more bounce than with what we have seen in this match. And Mohammad Siraj, I feel, would benefit bowling on a surface like that. When you're looking at this case as well, England were 26 without loss in 3 overs with Arshdeep Singh. Yes, he's been the second highest wicket taker in this tournament, but he's been here and there in terms of economy rate, which is why if Bumrah's 2 overs go for none for 15 like it did do against Australia, on a surface like Barbados, where yes, you'd be bowling the 8 overs of spin in the middle overs, would they have as much of an impact as they did here? Maybe not. Then how would things go? Which is why I feel Mohammad Siraj has got to be back in the side to bowl in the power play alongside Arshdeep Singh. And if you've got Bumrah and the 2 spinners after the power play, it would give a much more solidity in this Indian bowling attack on certain types of services. But very well done from India today. And I'll be putting a preview video very soon as to what they should do against South Africa. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?